Hi, I'm Robert Maxfield, and welcome to my concert photography series. Today I'm covering Tales from the Road and stupidity stories, things that happen to you as a music photographer and event photographer. Stay tuned. I've owned a photography business in Dallas, Texas for going on over 40 years, and I've been featured in newspapers, magazines. My work's been done internationally, and so that makes me not really a spring chicken when it comes to photographing music photography, concerts and things like that. So a lot of people look at me and go, why is that old dude doing that? Well, first of all, I'm not an old dude, but anyway, and I'm doing it a lot because I enjoy it. So I'm going to tell a few stories about what's going on with me from the past and why I'm doing some of the things I'm doing today. So if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. I appreciate it, and I'm going to tell you some stories. Okay, sure, I get paid. Sometimes I do, sometimes I do it for free. The main majority reason of why I shoot concerts and music in general is because I like it, and it's fun. That's the simplest part to it. When it comes to the experiences I've had over the last 45 years, they're irreplaceable, they're priceless, and that is above all the main reason why I do this. It's the experiences that I have. I know in earlier videos I said the first concert I ever photographed was Queen, the News of the World tour, and I have a nice photo of Brian May pointing at me just like that, and I'm probably 15 feet away from him. I've got some pictures of Freddie Mercury, and I've got the whole band. So those things are priceless, because We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, that tour was really amazing. One of the first concerts that I went to really had a big impact on my life, and that was the very first Texas Jam in 1978. I had no earthly clue what was going to happen, and little did I know I was going to be in a fur ball full of what they estimate as 135,000 screaming fans, and that was interesting on itself. But we loaded up the car. There was like four or five of us, and we got in my dad's new Pontiac, and we had the back of the car full of beer and various other party favors. And so here's a whole bunch of 17-year-olds driving Daddy's new Pontiac to South Dallas on Friday night at midnight. And that's crazy as it is, because we had no earthly clue where the hell we were going. All right. So I pull up to a gas station and walk up, and the door's locked, and I look in the window, and there's a guy pointing a 12-gauge shotgun at me, sitting on a stool with a Doberman Pinscher. Great, that's the way it started out. So I asked him, I said, hey, where's Fair Park? He goes, that way, boy. I said, thank you. And I was out of there, and we were headed to the very first Texas Jam in 1978. Saw for the first time Van Halen, Journey, Ted Nugent, Aerosmith. It was amazing. Cheech and Chong was even there. So that's how we started the night. We started the night with having a shotgun pointed at me, and when we got there, we parked right next to the roller coaster. The Cotton Bowl is at the State Fairgrounds in Texas, and there's a midway with all the rides and stuff, and they're there all year round, a bunch of them. So we parked the car, we broke out our beer and our party favors, and started to have a good time. And then all of a sudden the cops started checking cars, and we had to play hopscotch all up and down and move our car because it was full of stuff. We were 17 years old, and in Texas at the time, 18 years old was the legal drinking age, so we had to do that. Had a very interesting time. figuring out that night. So in just a second, I'll tell you about what happened when we got to the door. Well, I'd like to say thank you to Steve and the nice, fine folks at Southwest Graphic Arts. Thank you for sponsoring us. We'd like to say thank you to Tasty in Texas. If you haven't seen Julie's YouTube channel, eat healthy, eat right, lose weight, and she's lost 150 pounds in a year, and the food is awesome. You can't tell it's dietary, healthy food at all. Go see her site and check it out. It's really pretty cool. We split up in the middle of the night, I guess about 2:30 in the morning, and my friend Johnny and I went to the front gate for the Cotton Bowl, and we left the others at the car. Well, when we got there, they opened the doors at 8 o'clock and everybody rushed in. So we're in the very front row up against the wall at the Cotton Bowl, and we can't see crap. But we're at the front row, so we stay there until probably, I guess, the first band came on, which was Blackstone, which won the Battle of the Bands, and we couldn't see anything. We moved back probably about 20 feet, and then Walter Egan came on, and very few people I think have heard of him, but he had a hit called Magnet and Steel, which was really pretty good. And we started moving back, and it got to be 105 degrees. It's the 4th of July weekend. It's in the Dallas Cotton Bowl. It's open air. There's direct sun. Everybody's sunburned. Half the people are naked. Yeah, they're naked. And incredible. Ted Nugent, Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, Aerosmith, Heart, if I remember right, Atlanta Rhythm Section, Walter Egan, Van Halen, Journey, Cheech and Chong, and water hoses, fire hoses, soaking as many people as they can get close to the stage as they can. Just absolute crazy. That's one of the reasons why I started doing this. Beyond that, it was a hell of a lot of fun. If I didn't mention already, one of the reasons I'm telling stories today is we're in the middle of typical Texas winter. It's 65 degrees, it's overcast, it's raining, and nobody wants to get outside. And a lot of the people here in the house are sick, so that's not good. But we're getting business done as usual. One of the things that I really like about event and concert photography is the fact that you meet some really interesting people, and some things that you do are priceless. One of the people I got to meet was Janis, who in the 70s had a hit single called It's 17. And we were at a place called Poor David's Pub. It's on Greenville Avenue, and little tiny place, but she was there. And I got some photographs of her during the show, and then she took a break between sets, and we just kind of wandered out in the alley with her, and we're talking with her out in the back alley. Nothing unusual. She gave me an autograph. It's right let's see. Right there. There she is. Part of the other things along the wall here that you can see is across the street from Poor David's was a place called the Arcadia, and I got to see Sam Kinison at the Arcadia. If you've never seen or heard of Sam Kinison, this comedian is famous for screaming. He's also a unique individual. So we got to see his show, and that was really pretty cool. One of the things really cool about Sam Kinison is he did a video with this woman. I think she was a Playboy centerfold at one time, and her name was Jessica Hahn, and she was famous for being a church secretary. Anyway, it made MTV, music television, and all that. It was really, really pretty cool. In the video, they had, I'm going to get you a list of people that were in the video. They had Steven Tyler and Joe Perry of Aerosmith, Jonathan Cain in of Bad English, Richie Sambora. They had Slash from Guns N' Roses. It was a really cool video that made TV, and he was in a movie with Rodney Dangerfield called Back to School. And in the movie for Back to School, if you're interested in little music trivia, it had Danny Elfman and Oingo Boingo in a bar scene that was really, really neat too. Some other stuff, one of the really cool things is in the early days, you could just go to any show with a camera, and it was open season. It was a lot of fun. Friend and I were watching television one night, and I guess it was Friday night, and we saw this commercial with explosions and bangs and loud music, and it said, tomorrow night at SMU's McFarland Auditorium, Triumph. So Tim and I looked at each other and go, what the hell's Triumph? I don't know, they look pretty cool. So we said, all right. So we decided we'd go to McFarland Auditorium, go see Triumph. We had nothing else to do. So we walk up to the box office, and I asked the lady at the box office, what's the best seat you got in the house? She says, row G, $6. I said, sold. So we got on the floor, row G, for $6, and I spent the better part of the night sitting on the end of the stage with Mike Levine about probably 8 feet away from me, and I could see Rick. I got a great picture of Rick Emmitt pointing straight at me, and Gilmore. They had pyrotechnics and big strobe lights, not flashlights, but big lighting in the back. And for $6 at SMU McFarland Auditorium, really, really cool. And we saw him the night before, walked right in, had no issues, and that's another one of the fun experiences, is being able to sit on the stage at that time with somebody when they're first starting out, and they became a big deal later in the year. My buddy Steve was really big with all kinds of different musical taste. I didn't like the B-52s, he did. He and I had different musical taste. And one day I got a call from him, says, hey man, I got tickets to see Simon and Garfunkel at the Cotton Ball. You have what? He says, I've got concert tickets to see Simon and Garfunkel at the Cotton Ball. All right. He says, you want to go? I said, sure, let's go. So we went, and it was raining cats and dogs, and I'm about 2 rows out from the stage, and I'm up to my knees in water. And it's raining cats and dogs, and they're playing on the stage, and they're covered. Paul Simon had just got married to Carrie Fisher, I guess, and they had just got to town, and they threw this, one of the most amazing concert experiences you could ever imagine, in the rain at the Cotton Bowl. Just truly amazing. Not only concerts have I shot, I've shot events, and there's a couple of events that were really good that I'd like to bring up. One of them is Steve gave me a call again, and he says, "Hey, man, I got tickets to go see Leonard Nimoy." Leonard Nimoy? He says, "Yeah." He says, "Leonard Nimoy is at University of Texas Arlington, and he's giving a lecture on his TV series called In Search Of." So, all right. He says he's probably going to do some stuff for the movie In Search of Spock. And I said, that would be cool too. So we went, and we listened to Nimoy's lecture, and it was funny because we wanted an interview with Nimoy, and they had reserved that for the college newspaper, the Shorthorn, and wouldn't let us talk to him. All right. So we're out in the audience, and we asked him a question. He says, why He says, do you give autographs? Do you give autographs? He says, no, I don't give autographs anymore. He says, man, I was at a restaurant with my family, and I went in the men's room, and I'm at the urinal, and some guy walks up and says, hey, can I have your autograph? And he says, from that point forward, no more autographs. He says, I quit giving autographs. So anyway, after the Shorthorn was through with him, we walked out to his car with him, and we were talking to him. And, you know, if you don't know who Leonard Nimoy is, he's Spock from Star Trek. So anyway, he looks at us and he says, what you got? He says, that's the Star Trek fleet, Starfleet manual. He says, you got a copy of that? He says, let me see it. He opens it up and looks at it. He goes, oh, hell, man, you got Shatner's autograph in here. He says, I'll give you mine. And he gives us his, and we spend a little bit of time talking with him out of his car before he goes back, I guess, to the hotel. That kind of stuff is priceless. You can't do that. That's today. Most people are trying to figure out what they're doing. Soak in what the experiences you're having. I got another shoot that I had to do at a place called the Dallas Lowe's Anatole. It's a hotel, and I didn't even know they had an auditorium. So I'm there to shoot Milton Berle and Henny Youngman, which are two of the best old style kings of comedy. And we're in this auditorium, and we're like the first people in, and it's before the show, and Milton Berle comes out, and we're talking religion with Milton Berle in an auditorium. 150 people probably show up. This place holds 500. He still puts on the show and goes through it, and he is a legend in the comedy, period. There's nobody probably more legendary. Maybe Groucho Marx that's more legendary than this guy. He and Henny Youngman were amazing and down to earth, and talked to us for just right. We're sitting in the second row just talking to us. Now let's get to modern day. One of the things that's cool about modern day is I'm learning a lot about modern day Texas Red Dirt music and country music in general. I've liked all kinds of music just about, but haven't had much of a experience with some of it. And so I'm going through YouTube and I'm looking at who I want to shoot and who I want to photograph. So I find a lady named Rachel Stacy. And I thought, she sounds pretty good. I'd like to see her. She's coming close. So I try to get to see her. Well, every place I call says Rachel does not like photographers. Okay. She won't deal with it. I said, okay. So I find where she's going to be not too far from where we are, a place called the Texas Lotto Plaza in the Toyota Music Factory. And she's there. And in the morning, I try to get a hold of them, and it's raining and raining and raining. So I said, the hell with it. I'm going to just show up. So I show up. Got my camera and all my stuff. And I figured it's better to ask forgiveness, you know. So I start taking a picture. I got a great shot of her burning a hole through the back of my head. So anyway, I took some photos of her and stuff like that, and I walked up to her, and I'd been talking with her, I guess, for about 2-3 weeks on Facebook in one of her forums. I dropped a 20 in the tip jar, and she'd been talking about eating at a place, getting some baked goods at a place called the Check Stop down in West Texas. If you've never been there, they've got the best brownies and cakes you can imagine. It's a gas station with a bakery in it. And I look up at her and I say, hey, it doesn't look like the Check Stop hurt you too bad. You didn't get a lot of those brownies. She pointed right at me and she goes, I know who you are now. And everything from there was cool. So special thanks to her. I know there's going to be some big stuff coming out probably next month that involves her. And her and Jimmy Wallace. If you haven't heard of Jimmy Wallace, you need to. And check those two people out. They're awesome. Whatever reason you want to be a concert photographer, great. I don't care if it's make money, if it's to have fun, whatever. My advice is have a good time. Enjoy what you're doing. Get to know people. Don't sweat it. Just, you know, it's an awesome time, and the experiences that you'll have you are priceless. You can't replace them. So from me to you, if you're doing it, enjoy the experience and have fun. Thanks for watching. Once again, please, if you've liked any of this, like and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. We appreciate it. It helps us out. And thanks for coming. See y'all later, and keep safe. Bye-bye.